You're listening to the Chad Hasty Show on demand. Good for you. Now download the KFYO app and listen live weekday afternoons 5 to 7 p.m. Central.
Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is the Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Good evening, Lubbock, Amarillo, Wichita Falls, Abilene, Dallas, Fort Worth, Midland, Odessa, down in Houston, over in El Paso, and anywhere else inside or outside the great state of Texas, wherever you may be listening on this Friday. That's right. Congratulations. We've made it to Friday. Thank goodness. Friday, June 14th, Flag Day. It's also National Bourbon Day, also National Strawberry Shortcake Day. How about that? It's all kinds of days here on June 14th. We welcome you into the program as we broadcast live from Amarillo, Texas. We're up in the Panhandle today. I've been crisscrossing the Panhandle, meeting up with folks, shaking hands, doing all that kind of great stuff, meeting with some of our great friends up here in the Panhandle. We've got a big show lined up for you today. Of course, coming up here in just a little bit, we're going to visit with some of the hosts of where we're broadcasting from today here at the Cactus Cove. We're going to be visiting with Matt Mars, Chase Hess, who will be joining us coming up here in just a little bit. They'll tell you all about the hotel and the restaurant and everything else that you can experience when you come up to Amarillo. We'll visit with State Rep John Smithee. He's scheduled to join us coming up at 5:35 this evening. Caroline Fairly, who will go on and represent HD 87. She'll be joining us coming up at 6:35. Of course, she'll be representing HD 87. She's got a Democrat opponent, but it's a very safe Republican seat. So as long as Republican voters do what they're supposed to do, get out and vote, she will be in the legislative. She will be in the upcoming legislative session. We've got the Supreme Court to talk about, and they're saying absolutely no to this ban that went into place under President Trump. It was one of the things that I was not a big fan of. But the bump stock ban, yep, the Supreme Court ruling against that, and some of the tears that are out there about the bump stock ban. We'll talk about that. A good ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court today. We've also got some other news that we'll be getting into throughout the show. And, of course, we want to talk about Father's Day. Father's Day is this weekend. Those of you in Amarillo, we're going to be broadcasting from the Knife Guys on Saturday at their brand new location from 1 to 3 p.m. We'll be getting you ready for Father's Day that way because, well, hey, every dad wants a knife, right? Every dad could use another knife, and you could go and pick up your dad a brand new knife over at the Knife Guys, or if you're a dad, you could just go pick up your own knife over at the Knife Guys. Their brand new location, that's where we're going to be at tomorrow from 1 to 3 p.m. at 3700 Sauncey Road here in Amarillo. It's going to be an Amarillo-only broadcast. We'll have some Chad Hasty Show stickers to give away. We are looking forward to just meeting as many of you as possible, so come on by. We're going to have sign-ups. We're going to have some big prizes that we're going to be giving away each hour. In fact, between 1 and 4 p.m. over at the Knife Guys, they're going to be registering people and giving away brand name knives, big brand name knives they're going to be giving away. And then, of course, they've got some other great deals as well that we'll tell you about during the program today. So that's going to be happening tomorrow, 1 to 3 p.m. If you're in the Amarillo area, come out, say hello. Would love to meet you, shake your hand, and talk to you while we're out broadcasting tomorrow from 1 to 3 p.m. And, of course, we've got just a lot of other news to get to, your phone calls, your text messages. We do have the text line fired up, ready to go, where you can text in and sound off on any topic that you want to. How do you do that? It's pretty simple. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. That's how you can text in and sound off on any of the topics that we talk about today, or really anything you want to. It's an open line Friday, so whatever you want to talk about, you can get in touch with us and sound off and talk about the any issues that you want to. Maybe those of you in the Lubbock area, you're looking at the this upcoming runoff election coming up on Saturday, and maybe you want to say a thing or two about that. Maybe you have a prediction for what may happen on Saturday. I would love to know from those of you in Lubbock, who do you think is going to win? Who do you think will win the mayoral race between Steve Massengale and Mark McBrear? Who do you think wins that race? You can text in at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Your other running topic today, we're going to have a few of them. And then, of course, we'll get to Nick's final question of the week coming up in the next hour. But today, having to deal with Father's Day, the best things that you learned from your dad. The best things that you learned from your dad. You can text in at 806-680-2790. Maybe one of the best things you learned from your dad was how to unfreeze your air conditioner. Could be. You can text in at 806-680-2790. You can also give us a call at any time, at least when we don't have a guest on with us, at 1-800-687-0790. That's 1-800-687-0790. Nick, the first voice you hear from when you dial in today. Nick, how's everything back in Lubbock? Everything going well at the home studio?
Yeah, so far, it's never the same without you here. So,
Yes.
Everyone's a little gloomy today, but,
Is anyone there?
Well, let's see, it's me. There's a few still here.
Okay, that means it's just you. It's like you and Corbin. We're hanging out for a little bit, and that's about it.
And that's what we do. Every Friday we like to hang out, just the two of us, mainly when you're gone. We really we don't want to spend time with you. So, whenever you're gone, we set aside time. We go, sometimes an arcade, crash a kid's birthday party every once in a while, just standard things.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah,
that sounds very good. Well, I'm glad I could get out of the way, so that way y'all could go and do that.
We appreciate it.
Nick's still having AC problems, so
yes,
I am. It's not good. You're. I don't know, Nick. It's our friends over at Joe Rushing. They can help you out.
Hey.
They can have great sponsors of the program, and they can help you out over at Joe Rushing. I just you get that fixed because it's going to get hot this weekend, and
yes, it is.
Yeah, it's already hot,
yes.
So you may want to get that fixed.
Yeah. It's I'm a little. I hate to admit it. I'm a little tired of sleeping in a sauna. Especially the past few nights. So it would be nice. You know what? I think I will reach out and try to get this fixed so I don't boil. Frankly.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. We're all worried about you now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot that we're going to get into during the show today. One of the big stories nationally, of course, the Supreme Court striking down the Trump-era federal ban on bump stock devices. Also, a story that came out. We'll get into the details of that a little bit later on. But also this won't surprise anyone at all. The Department of Justice say that it will not prosecute Merrick Garland. Oh, who's surprised by that? The Justice Department Friday said it would not prosecute the U.S. Attorney General for contempt of Congress when he refused to overturn audio recordings of Joe Biden's interview regarding classified documents. The department said Garland's actions did not constitute a crime, according to the AP. Earlier this week, the GOP-led House voted to pass a resolution to hold Garland in contempt on a 216-207 vote. And I told you don't get excited. Remember, when Republicans want to do something, Republicans want to strike back at the Democrats. They form committees. They write strongly worded letters, and they act as though they're going to do something big. And this was their strike right here. We're gonna hold the Attorney General in contempt. And like I said, nothing's going to come of it, and nothing will come of it. So don't be surprised too much by that. So we've got some other news that we'll be getting into throughout the program today. Also, some interesting Lubbock City Council news that we'll be getting into. Like I said, State Rep John Smithee joining us at 5:35. Coming up at 6:05, Caroline Fairly. When we come back, we're going to talk to you about the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites, the restaurant that we've got here, all the renovations that are happening. And I've got like a dartboard in front of me. That's cool. We need that in the studio. Nah, it'd be too dangerous when guests who don't like me stop in. Never mind. That's way too dangerous. We'll be right back on the Chad Easty Show.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Monday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, a huge show for your listening enjoyment. First of all the news from over the weekend, especially focused on the 2024 election, the upcoming debate, plus our guest lineup. Phenomenal. Dr. Ben Carson, possible VP for Trump, and Senator Rand Paul. That's right, my friends. Clay and Buck bringing it to you on Monday. Make sure you join. Listen in.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Monday morning at 11.
Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show as we broadcast live from Amarillo. We're broadcasting today at the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites. Why are we here? Well, because we're camped out here in Amarillo. We're doing a lot of business today, going around meeting and greeting a lot of folks. And then tomorrow we're broadcasting from the Knife Guys at their brand new location from 1 to 3 p.m. It's an Amarillo only broadcast at 3700 Soncy Road. So come on by, say hello. We're going to have great knife deals, giving away some knives, all kinds of stuff that you can find over at the Knife Guys, and you're going to save some money as well. And we're broadcasting from the game room. And boy, this is a nice game room here at the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites. And we've got Matt Mars joining us,
Absolutely. And
also Chase Hess, who's here. And Chase came in. He's like, I'm going to sit here for a little bit. I may talk, but I'm going to hand it off to Matt. And Matt, you're the owner of this great place. Tell us a little bit, because this is a whole renovation process that you're going through here at Cactus Cove Inn and Suites.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. So the Cactus Cove, I purchased back in 2022. It's been an amazing ride, but the idea is that we're a dual brand independent that's been totally rebranded and remodeled. The process has kind of been a touch and go, fake it till you make it type situation, to be completely honest. We didn't know that we were going to do the game room. We didn't know that we were going to do the pickleball court. We didn't know exactly what we were going to do when we got here, but we saw the vision and just jumped on it. So it's been an exciting ride. Between the indoor heated pool, the Western Horseman Club, like I said, the game room, just been a great time here.
What made you want to get into the hotel industry.
Yeah, so I actually come from the corporate world, and at Merrill Lynch, I worked in New York City for a little bit, and back here in Amarillo. So I knew early on that I really wasn't the suit and tie guy, the 8 to 5 guy. And I needed something that I could cast vision to, that I had the freedom and flexibility to do what I wanted. So then I jumped into real estate on the small scale. I started on the Airbnb world. One thing led to another, grew pretty fast. Started managing another hotel in town and quadrupled their revenue within 12 months. And I said, if I can do that for someone else, let's do it for ourselves.
Do it for you, yeah.
Do it for ourselves. And so we started looking around in town for a hotel to buy. And another hotel operator heard what we were doing and said, hey, well, I've got a fixer-upper if you want one. And so we bought the Cove.
Very nice. Well, it's very nice. This is my first time here, and already I've enjoyed it. It's very nice, and the rooms are nice and spacious, and like you said, newly renovated. So it has that that newly renovated feel. It's very modern when you walk in, and it's different. You walk in, you've got like a little mini golf course out there, so you can putt around.
Yeah.
You've got the pickleball court, which everyone loves pickleball these days. And I hear you have an excellent restaurant, too.
Yeah, the Western Horseman Club is original to the hotel, right? So when the hotel was built in 1983, the Western Horseman Club was the thing. It was a live music venue with dancing and a menu back then, but it really got out of hand. It was mistreated. It wasn't taken care of. There was no love towards the place, and so it went downhill pretty fast. So when we came in, we knew we wanted to turn it back to the Western Horseman Club. We wanted to turn it back to its glory days, and so we gave it the love and attention it needed. We brought in an operator, Rory Shapezi. She's an amazing chef, an amazing operator. She's elevated that place to another high standard. The idea is that it's elevated cowboy, right? So back to the live music, dancing, full menu. So 7 days a week, lunch and dinner, brunch on Saturday and Sunday. It's a high level restaurant on the east side of Amarillo, but it's brought the Western Horseman Club back to where it was.
That's great. Yeah. So when it comes to the travel industry here in Amarillo, kind of talk to our audience about that. If maybe they if they haven't come to Amarillo in a while, or maybe they are going to go to Amarillo, what can they expect? How is the travel industry here in the city?
Yeah, so I-40 has always been the heartbeat of tourism and the hospitality industry in Amarillo. So we rely on that a lot. But Amarillo is a stable market. We know our trends. We know what the market's going to do over the year. So you really have to just study it, and make sure you understand where your ebbs and flows are going to come from. But it's pretty steady compared to other vacation spots. We're kind of a travel through town and a pass through town. But that provides a lot of consistent business for us.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So, for those who are looking to stay here at the Cactus Cove, they're looking for a hotel to stay at. What's the best way for them to go? Because there are so many options, obviously online where people can go. Is it best to book through the? And you know what? I see this all the time where you'll have hotels, and because I'm one of those who we will book our hotel online, and then you'll see some that say book through us, you get the best deal. You see book through that's website, you're gonna get a crap deal. Whatever.
There you go.
What is the best way for those who are traveling?
Yep.
Do they need to book straight through you guys? Do they book online? Does it matter?
That's a great question. So I can speak for the hotel owner side, but then I can also speak for the guest side. So for the hotel owner, the best for us is when we attract those direct reservations. There's reservations that someone picks up the phone call, calls us directly, but also if they book directly on our website, there's more margin for the hotel owner at that point in time. We don't have to pay commissions to the third-party channels like Expedia or Booking.com. For the guest, it varies, right? So, like, if they're an Expedia member and they get all these points and, they get discounts on these, sometimes it's cheaper for you to book through Expedia. Sometimes it's cheaper to book through Booking.com. Sometimes it's cheaper for the guest to book through the hotel directly. It really depends on the guest, and I would just say do your research. Everybody's different. Everybody's rates are different. I'll push deals in certain sites because I know I'm low, and does that make sense? So for the guest, it just depends. Do your research. For the hotel owner, I would say please book direct. We're saving 20%. On third-party commissions,
and you're a small business owner, and I think and that matters, and in a day and an age where I think people are Also learning a bit more about the DoorDash and all that, and how much they take from the restaurants. There are a lot of restaurants who are very upset with the DoorDash and all that. It can impact you guys the same way through those third-party sites. And so when you're going through, especially a small business, give you guys some more love, right?
Yeah. I do want to share 2 more things about the Cove that are new and something that we didn't really know. So the first is going to be our new mural that was granted to us by the city. So the city has a grant for public beautification. We applied for it and won. So the city helped us pay for our new Cosmic Cowboy mural out front. Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, you can see it online on our website and all that stuff. But it's a cowboy riding a horse shooting back at a alien ship that's abducting a cow. But we've added some 3D features to the mural. So we've got a 13-foot tall disco cactus that's a 3D feature. So it's a really cool aspect to the hotel. But one thing I also mentioned is what's really crazy is before we bought the Cactus Cove, we didn't realize that we were going to be such a parties and events establishment. Like between our banquet hall, our game room, our pool, our atrium, we book probably 8 to 10 parties a week.
Yeah.
We'll do $250,000 in revenue just from parties and events. And so if you're in town looking for a party event, I'm a little shout out here. Why not, right?
You know what? I'm not surprised by that because it's a fun place. You walk in, it's not stuffy. It's not. I mean, it's a fun place. You can tell. So I appreciate you hosting us and giving us, letting us use the space here to broadcast from today.
My pleasure.
All right. So, hey, next time you're coming through Amarillo, be sure to stay at the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages. We're also going to be joined by State Representative John Smithee here on the Chad Hasty Show. So we're looking forward to that. Caroline Fairly coming up at 6:05 here on the program. We'll be right back.
The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans, do you wear glasses or use hearing aids? VA Healthcare may cover both of those for you at no or low cost. You may even be eligible for free dental care at one of VA's more than 200 dental clinics. Sign up at va.gov, call 1-800-MyVA411, or visit your nearest VA medical center.
To battle is to fight, to struggle, to overcome, and ultimately for the Marine Corps, it means to win. There is no alternative. It's not just a statement of intent. It's a promise to our nation. A promise kept for more than 2 centuries. A promise of the Marines.
The news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. Chad Hasty, talking the news. At the start, middle, and end of your drive home, and when news breaks. This is the Chad Hasty Show.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show as we are on the road broadcasting from Amarillo, Texas, here at the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites. Tomorrow at the Knife Guys from 1 to 3 p.m. for an Amarillo-only show. You can come out and join us at 3700 Soncy Road. That's where we'll be broadcasting from and getting you ready for Father's Day and having some great deals on knives. We'll give you some more details about that in just a little bit. Don't forget, you can text in your favorite lessons learned from your dad. Coming up Father's Day weekend, you can send those in on the text line 806-680-2790. The next guest that we have, we've spoken to him often on the phones. Now it's a pleasure to get to see him in person here in Amarillo, representing HD 86 District State Representative John Smithee joining us here on the Chad Hasty Show. Good to see you, sir.
Chad, welcome to Amarillo. It's good to be here.
Thank you. It's great to be here, and great to have you here at the broadcast site today. And I guess we'll start off with just, you're taking a look, obviously, at planning for the upcoming legislative session. We've gotten through the primaries. We've gotten through the Republican convention and everything else. How do you feel about how things are right now? Are Republicans going to be united in Texas moving into November?
Yes, I think eventually the Republicans will unite. I certainly hope so. I think it's essential because, it's going to be hard to get anything done in the legislature this next session unless you've got Republicans working together. And I'm not just talking about Republicans in the House. We're going to have to find a way for the House and the Senate to get along. We don't have to agree on everything. And certainly, you don't have to let the House run over the Senate or the Senate run over the House. And we've got to get along with the Senate, and we've got to get along with the governor. And once again, it's not the governor controls the legislature or the legislature controls the governor. We've just got to learn to work together. And I think the voters are really ready for that to happen. But before we reach that point, we've got to find a way for the House to work together, because it hasn't the last several sessions, and particularly the last two sessions, which have really been disasters.
Yeah. So what? How do you get the House to work together? What's the secret sauce? What's the answer? Do you think?
Well, I think it comes down to leadership, and we've over the years seen good leaders and what they can do. If you have a good leader that is, and a leader basically is not a dictator. It's someone who can capture the overall consensus will of the House, take that will and get it done through legislation. You're going to have to push people in a certain direction occasionally, but you can't ultimately force people to do something they really don't want to do or shouldn't do or their constituents don't want them to do. So I think leadership's the key. I think I remember when Bill Hobby was lieutenant governor. The Senate back in those days was a pretty rowdy place. There were occasional fistfights would break out in the Senate. And I can remember being over there on the Senate floor and watching a couple of senators start shoving each other. And the lieutenant governor, who was older even at the time, and not a particularly imposing person physically, he would come over and just stand between the two senators who were fighting. And he would calm them both down, send them outside, and tell them to work it out outside peacefully, get it done, and come back in. And it always worked out that way. And I always admired the way the lieutenant governor, in a very gentle way, restored peace to the Senate, made the Senate get along, work out their problems, and get on down the road. And I think that's what's been lacking in the House, for a couple of sessions now, is the inability of leadership to get the various factions together, to make all the members feel included and part of what's going on in the legislative process. So that's where I think that's the answer. But how to get there is a very difficult situation.
I was about to ask: is it almost easier said than done, given and I hate to say polarization, but there almost is a polarization, among some of the different factions and just among Republicans. Yeah. Forget about the Democrats, just among Republicans, there's some stark differences.
There are,
and some hurt feelings, it seems.
There are very personal differences. Some people that just don't like other people. You have these Twitter battles that are going on. That's a disservice not only to these individuals who do this, but it's also a disservice to the institution of the House and ultimately to the people of Texas. People deserve better than that. And it doesn't look good. It's not a good look. It's not what voters would like to see. And so that's what we've got to fix. That's the job that we have ahead of us this next session, is to try to fix the mess that we've got right now. And ultimately, the way that gets solved, we all have to realize it's in all of those of us who are elected, it's in our common interest of every one of us to to find a way to get along in a reasonable way. We can state our positions differently, and that's certainly acceptable. But in the end, we have to be on the same page on as far as moving forward for the good of the people of Texas. And getting there is going to be very difficult. I think it's going to involve choosing, the right leader. We'll see where that goes over the next few months.
There have obviously been a couple of folks who have tossed their hat into the ring for speaker. Have you thought about whether or not you're going to toss your hat? I know at least some people had brought your name up in the past for a possible speakership. What do you think?
I'm just, it's early. I'm going to kind of wait and see what happens over the next couple of months. But I think that we have a current speaker in Dade Phelan. I get the impression from talking to members that he really doesn't have the support to come back. That even those who have been close to him in the past are finally saying, it's time to move on, to try something else, because what we've done in the past hasn't worked. So, obviously you can't replace somebody with nobody. You've got to have someone to take the leadership position in that situation. And I think that'll shake out over the next few months. I think that I hope, and we've never really done this in the House, but I would hope this time that we would have a dialogue between members and any individual, any member who wants to be speaker, where we can have this open discussion, open dialogue to talk about what's wrong with the House and how do we fix it. Because ultimately, our next leader should be someone who has a very positive plan to be able to put the House back together and make it work effectively.
Visiting with State Representative John Smithee here on the Chad Hasty Show. When you look ahead to the next legislative session, we've seen the priorities from the state Republican Party. What'd you think about those? And would you add a 9th or 10th priority to the 8 priorities that they put out there? Any disagreements with those that they had?
Well, I think that's a good foundational place to begin. And honestly, if you look at these lists that have been circulating, and that seems to be the new thing where somebody comes up with a list and tries to get it. It seems like all I do is answer the phone. People want you to sign on to a list, and I finally just said I'm not signing any more lists. I don't think the lists are productive in the end, but if you look at where members are right now, I think there's a large consensus of Republican members who want to pass those priorities in some form. And now there'll be some discussion and debate about different amendments and different changes that you would make to that legislation. But I think the overall consensus, there's a broad support for these concepts that came out of the Republican convention. And so, the question is, how do you get that done? How do you get it done in a way that's very responsible and results in good legislation? And that's what's frustrating, is because Republicans tend to agree on substantive issues, but they find ways to fight about personality.
Yeah.
And so, that's the first step, is to get everybody on the same page and to try to get good legislation passed.
Visiting with State Rep John Smithee. Now, I've got to ask you, since we're up here in Amarillo, if folks are coming up here doing a vacation, stopping through, where are some places they need to go as far as to eat, see, things to do? What are some of your recommendations for folks as they come up to the Panhandle?
Well, we were talking a few moments ago with the owners of this Cactus Cove Hotel here, which they've done a great job, incidentally. But not long ago, we dropped in on the Western Horseman here. I'd never been there, didn't know what to expect. It's a very good place. They have very good food here. And so that's one recommendation. We don't really like real fancy places. We go to a place called Blue Sky. They have a couple of locations in Amarillo. I know they also have locations in Lubbock.
Yep.
As good a hamburger as you're going to get anywhere.
Really good burgers.
And on I-40, that location gets a lot of tourists. During the tourist season. Another place that gets a lot of tourists, which I wish the tourists would stay away because they make the lines longer, is at Tyler's Barbecue.
I've heard great things about Tyler's.
It's unique to the Panhandle, and of course it was interesting. We were in Italy just recently, and we were in a cab in a very rural, small town on the Italian coast, got in the cab, and the cab driver said, "Where are you from?" And I told him, "Amarillo, Texas. You familiar with that?" He said, "Oh, yeah, that's where they eat the 72-ounce steak." And he was familiar with the Big Texan. So the notoriety of the Big Texan is worldwide here. So
Absolutely. State Representative John Smithee, hey, thank you so much for joining us out here.
Chad, it's good to be here. We appreciate you being on the air in Amarillo, and also appreciate you being here this week.
Absolutely. We'll do this again soon.
Okay, great.
All right. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, and much more here on the Chad Hasty Show, live from Amarillo.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio, Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at kfyo.com. The Chad Hasty Show, all across Texas during your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Monday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, a huge show for your listening enjoyment. First of all the news from over the weekend, especially focused on the 2024 election, the upcoming debate, plus our guest lineup, phenomenal. Dr. Ben Carson, possible VP for Trump, and Senator Rand Paul. That's right, my friends, Clay and Buck, bringing it to you on Monday. Make sure you join, listen in.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Monday morning at 11.
Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. I want to thank State Representative John Smithee for joining us as we broadcast today from Amarillo at the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites. Tomorrow, we're going to be hanging out at the Knife Guys, where you can come on out and say hello if you're in the Amarillo area. We'll be broadcasting from 1 to 3 p.m., and we're going to have some great deals, and some of the great deals include. Now, it's going to be over at their brand new location at 3700 Sauncey Road, and some of the great new knives that they have, including the William Henry knives that they now have at the Knife Guys' new location, in addition to continuing the grand opening sales that they've been having. They're also going to have Zippo lighters that are 30% off. All regular price generic spring assisted knives, 30% off. And all throwing knives and stars will be 30% off as well. And then they're going to be having hourly drawings for name brand knives from 1 to 4 p.m. Now, we'll be out there 1 to 3, but from 1 to 4, they're going to have hourly drawings for name brand knives from 1 to 4 p.m. So be sure to come out and join us. You get to sign up, and you can win. You don't have to be there in order to win those hourly drawings. Oh, they'll give you a call if you win, and you can go in and pick up that knife. We're going to be out there again 1 to 3 p.m. Having a great time, and we encourage you to come out and say hello as well. Some text messages that have come in. Texture, I thought Massengill was going to win. Seeing how his campaign hit the panic button this past week, throwing everything out there to see what sticks, makes me believe McBrayer will win by 10-plus points. All right. Another texture. Why does it feel like the bump stock issue is a precursor to a major red flag event? I don't feel that way. I think the Supreme Court made the right decision on this one. Elizabeth in Lubbock saying happy Flag Day. Best things I learned from my dad. It's a long list here, too, that he repeatedly told me from childhood until he passed away. You can achieve anything you put your mind to, and you can't make an unrecoverable mistake. Related to that last one, I often struggled with new endeavors, so he would sometimes add the following. How do you expect to be broadened in your education if you don't get flattened every once in a while? LOL. Happy Father's Day to the wonderful dads out there. Absolutely. That from Elizabeth. Another texter. Everyone brings some happiness. Some in their coming, some in their leaving. Another texter. My name is Tony. My dad taught me having a good work ethic is one of the most important things an adult needs. So we're taking your best lessons that you learned from your dad. You can text in at 806-680-2790. Again, that's 806-680-2790. Coming up at 6:05, scheduled to visit with Caroline Fairly out here. Looking forward to that conversation and having her here on the program. It was great to visit with State Rep John Smithee, and he did not rule out, I thought that was interesting, did not rule out a possible speaker's run. And also, it came across, I think, pretty evident to me, pretty clear to probably many of you, that he believes it's also time for a new speaker, someone who can bring the House together and bring the different factions of the House together. And again, that might be easier said than done. Listen, remember, Smithee's name was thrown out there as a possible, if Republicans were able to, dethrone Phelan during one of the special sessions or during the interim. Smithee's name was thrown out there as a possible great candidate for speaker, and you hear him speak, and he's someone who he doesn't want to. What he wants is a speaker who is not going to just run over people, and I think that's something that a lot of people would like to see, and he wants. Quite frankly, it sounds like he wants an adult in the room, and he wants an adult in charge, and he wants the adults to take over. And I think that would be welcomed by many people. So stay tuned, I guess we could say on that front. We'll be right back on the Chad Hasty Show in Amarillo.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media. Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is the Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you being out there today as we broadcast from Amarillo. That's right. We're here at the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites. They're hosting us this evening. Tomorrow, an Amarillo-only show as we broadcast from the Knife Guys at 3700 Sonsey Road, a brand new Knife Guys location, and we've got a ton of Father's Day deals for you out at the Knife Guys tomorrow. And earlier we were joined by State Representative John Smithee, and joining us right here in the, I say in the studio, it's the game room here at the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites. We have the next state representative for HD 87. She's got a Democrat opponent, but let's be honest, she's going to be the next state rep for HD 87. Caroline Fairly joining us here on the Chad Hasty Show. Good to see you. Good to meet you.
Thank you, Chad. I'm glad to be here this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell folks, because this is your first time on the show, so yes. Tell folks, obviously, congratulations. You dominated in the primary. Tell folks a little bit about yourself, if maybe this is the first time they're hearing you on the show.
Of course. Well, first off, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here and glad to be here. So I was born and raised in Amarillo, Texas. I'm the youngest of 5. I went to college. I then moved to Washington, D.C. with Congressman Jackson and had my first job there. Eventually moved back to Texas, went to work in healthcare in my family's business where I negotiate medical bills, and then led a team that focused on healthcare affordability and essentially negotiating contracts with CEOs and hospital systems. And it's a very ruthless strategic world, I'll tell you that. And then I ran for office, as you stated earlier, and thankfully I won the primary. And now on to November.
Yeah, you had a lot of, obviously a lot of support, a lot of big endorsements out there. What was that like? I mean, for your first time running for office, and you know, you're getting the governor supporting you, you're getting all these, you know, big name candidates supporting you. I mean, that must have been pretty awesome.
It was. I was really thankful to have a lot of support behind me. I was thankful, like Congressman Jackson, I worked with him, know him well, so he was a huge supporter. Senator Sparks, I've gotten to know him and his wife Jill really well as well, and they've also been huge advocates and so helpful, even post-primary season and navigating this new season in the House. But I was really thankful to have all of those endorsements. I would not have been able to win, I think, without them.
Yeah, well, that's great. So what are some of your, when looking ahead to the upcoming legislative session, let's say Republicans do their job, they get out, they vote for you, send you to Austin. What are some of your priorities? What do you want to get accomplished down in Austin?
So that's a really great question, and I'm currently in this interim figuring out what are practical and effective legislative priorities that I can get done as a freshman. Because when you come in as a freshman, you're at the bottom of the totem pole. And so you've got to be mindful about what's your bandwidth, what practically can I get done that's good for the district and also for Texas. And so I'm looking at specific things within Amarillo that are good. But healthcare is something I'm very passionate about given what I do for a living. But healthcare affordability, transparency, we're in a huge need for doctors and nurses and physicians. And so I am currently looking at legislation. I had a call yesterday with some folks about starting to draft a bill to say, hey, look, we have to figure out a way to incentivize doctors and nurses to come to Texas and to this area, especially rural health care. It's huge. I mean, when I campaigned the last 6 months, that was a big issue that came up, is that we need pediatricians, we need OBGYNs, we need good doctors. Yeah. And so that is the top of my priority right now. And then obviously supporting things like border security and other things of that sort are also really important.
Well, when you look at rural health care, when people talk to you and are, you know, concerned about rural health care, is it that they're concerned, you know, you see Lubbock is growing, Amarillo is growing, some of the larger cities are growing, and a lot of folks are moving into the city so they can be close to those hospitals. Mm-hmm. Is it that some folks they want those more rural hospitals so they don't have to move, they don't have to leave? Is that kind of playing a role in some of it?
I do think a little. I think some of that has to do, with some folks I talked with, it was, look, we want to keep our communities like Stratford and Perryton and Dumas and these towns that are smaller than Amarillo and Lubbock. Yeah. And how do we do that? And you need good schools. You need good pediatricians and first-hand doctors and hospitals. And so I think part of that is, you know, keeping that community together and making sure that we support that so that those towns can thrive. There's so much ag in that area too. So I think that also has a lot to do with it, is making sure those communities stay together. Yeah.
So and you know, when you got to get through the election, all that stuff. But you know, you'd be coming in obviously as a freshman, and but out here, it seems like they when you have the Panhandle in West Texas, big country, you have these lawmakers. They kind of want to stick together because, you know, while the population centers, they can dominate. Mm-hmm. West Texas and the Panhandle, they can dominate because they've got the votes, they've got the population, and when you look at how the state sometimes looks at different things, where do they go? They go to the east of 35. Forget about the fact that the voters are out here, exactly. and the red wall is out this way. So, have you been given any advice, or you know, or are you kind of planning to go? Okay, yeah, I may come in as a freshman, but we need to amp things up because we've got to have the power out here in order to have that big voice.
Totally. Well, I'll tell you, you're exactly right. In order for us to get things done out here in the Panhandle and these rural areas, we have to fight for them. We have to compel people to our way of thinking and why we need certain legislation passed so that we can have the things we needed here. So directly to answer that question, just because I'm a freshman, I have no plans on sitting on the back corner and just watching it all. But I'll tell you some things I'm doing now to prepare for this next session is meeting with these representatives that I will be serving with. And I'll tell you, it has been the most helpful thing for me to understand what are the inner workings of the House, what's really the political groups and agendas going on, so that I can be aware and discerning and wise. But the other part is just building relationships with these folks across the aisle who maybe we agree on 90% of the same things, but we can still get a lot of things done. Yeah. And so I was in Lubbock last week a few weeks ago meeting with Representative Tepper and Burrows, and that was amazing. And so I definitely am looking for any ways where we can partner, especially in the rural areas, to get things done, because we all have similar needs, and we also care about the people here. We care about making sure we get legislation passed that is productive and useful for this area.
Do you think, with this being your first race, and you are younger, and you're going to be coming in as a freshman, do you think you bring a different perspective and fresher ideas to again, a chamber where some people, they've been around for a while. It's not as bad as DC, that's for sure. Yeah. But some folks who have been around for a while. I mean, what do you think that? I mean, that has to be kind of nice to bring a new perspective, a different perspective to things.
Totally. Well, I'll be the youngest in the Texas House by quite a bit. So I do think I bring a great fresh perspective. I was talking to someone earlier today about the reality is we need conservatives from my generation to step up. Yep. When we look at the future of Texas and our country, we can no longer sit on the sidelines. We can no longer just watch and scroll on TikTok. It is time for conservatives in my generation to step up and to have people who are willing to listen. I mean, the amount of meetings that I spent on the campaign trail, and I would just sit for 2 hours and I would write notes and I would listen. Mm-hmm. But it built this trust where I was able to communicate and say, look, I want to advocate for you in the Texas House and be able to work with people so that we get the things done we need to get done. And so I do think hopefully I will bring a fresh perspective and also just working hard and building relationships with people and making sure that we are effective and get things that we need to get done.
Caroline Fairly joining us here on the Chad Hasty Show. Before I let you go, not to put you too much on the spot here, but when people are traveling through Amarillo, this is, as a show, our first time broadcasting here in the week from Amarillo, but where are some places they need to go? Do you have a favorite restaurant? Do you have a favorite, maybe a place they need to go and check out if they're traveling, maybe staying a couple of days? Where do they need to go?
So a few things. I would say Macaroni Joe's. Yeah. It's a really great Italian restaurant. I would say OHMS. It's downtown. It's another steakhouse. Blue Sky. And I would also say Yellow City Street Food. Amazing kind of local street food there. But there's a lot of great restaurants here. And then also, this isn't food related, but Palo Duro Canyon.
Yes.
You've got to go there if you're going to visit, Amarillo and Canyon area. It's amazing. So those are a few thoughts.
Awesome. Well, Caroline Fairly, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, Republicans, be sure to get out and vote. Send her to Austin, HD 87. She'll be on the show many times, I believe, between now, then, and during the legislative session. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Chad.
All right, when we come back, your phone calls, your text, and much more here on the Chad Hasty Show. We'll talk about the SCOTUS decision today and also your the big advice that your dad gave you. Your the best things that you learned from your dad as we honor the dads out there going into the Father's Day weekend. We'll be right back.
I got 7 women on my mind. 4 that wanna own me, 2 that wanna stone me, 1 says she's a friend of mine. Take it easy.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home. Weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Play Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Monday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, a huge show for your listening enjoyment. First of all the news from over the weekend, especially focused on the 2024 election, the upcoming debate, plus our guest lineup. Phenomenal. Dr. Ben Carson, possible VP for Trump, and Senator Rand Paul. That's right, my friends. Clay and Buck bringing it to you on Monday. Make sure you join and listen in.
Play Travis and Buck Sexton, Monday morning at 11.
Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. We broadcast from Amarillo at the Cactus Cove. I want to thank Caroline Fairly for joining us, and we'll be visiting with her quite often, I believe, in the future. Great visiting with her. Also got to visit earlier with State Representative John Smithee. Appreciate both of them for stopping by as well. Now we get to hear from you. It's you the rest of the way. You can text in at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can also give us a call, 1-800-687-0790. Bill in North Carolina just with a happy Flag Day text into the program. And here we go. Text message. How do you determine who is the worst candidate for president ethically? Does Trump's hush money case cancel out the Hunter Biden drug case, at least for independent voters, or does one of those court cases have more impact on the voters? Is there really a worst of these two evils? What exactly, when it comes to the two evils, I don't accept the premise of your question, first of all, that there are two evils here. The hush money case was a purely political case. There was absolutely nothing proven in that case. As far as illegality, hush money itself is not illegal. And if you think Trump is the only person, now, of course, Trump denies everything anyway, but let's say that he had the affair. Let's say that he did pay hush money to Stormy Daniels. Let's go ahead and go there. Do you think he's the only politician in the world who's ever paid to have something covered up in his past? Just a question. Do you think sex is the worst thing that a politician has ever paid to have covered up in the past? Just a question. I'm not voting for preacher in chief. I'm not voting for the guy who I want to every citizen to model their life and their marriage over. I want someone to help fix this country. I want somebody who will help put this country back together again, and Joe Biden's not going to do that. You say that they're the worst of the two evils. Again, you go back to the Trump years, pre-COVID. You go back to the Trump years, pre-COVID. Are you really saying Trump was evil? Are you really saying things were bad under Donald Trump when COVID wasn't around? Is that your stance? Because I would say that you're wrong on that. You look at where the country is right now. You look at the state of the world where we're at right now. There are not two evils running for president. There's one really, really bad guy who's in this race, and that's Joe Biden. You may not like Donald Trump. You may not want to have dinner with Donald Trump. You may not want to leave your kids alone with Donald Trump. You may not want Donald Trump to preach at your church. You may not want Donald Trump to lead you in prayer. You may not believe that Trump is the person to make everyone think is the poster child for a role model. You may not think that about Donald Trump, but Donald Trump does love this country. And Donald Trump does want to fix what Joe Biden has broken. So if you're an independent candidate out there, and it doesn't sound like you are, but maybe you are, I would say open your eyes a little bit. Open your eyes and look at the economy, look at the border, look at the state of the world. Remember, the Democrats were saying that Donald Trump was going to be the one that would blow us all up, that Donald Trump was going to get us in World War III. Well, that's back to Joe now. The texter, okay, yeah, you're saying ethically speaking, do we have ethical standards for politicians anymore? We do. I certainly do. And I think most people do. But Donald Trump won the primary. If you wanted to get into the ethical discussion, if you wanted to get into the who is the most conservative, if you want to get into who is the most ethically sound, and again, you have to trust all the politicians who are running. I'm pretty sure most of the politicians who run for president have some skeletons in their closet somewhere. I don't think they're all squeaky clean choir boys who are running for president. But the time for that, if you wanted to have that debate was during the primary. If you wanted to put Trump's ethics up against Ron DeSantis' ethics, well, that time was up during the primary. Now there's two guys. You got two choices. You got Joe and you got Trump. And again, you may not like everything ethically that Trump has done. You may not like that. You may not support everything that Trump has done in his personal life. But I would say that at this point for Republicans, they don't care. Because the Democrats don't care. They're not putting up someone who is ethically sound. They're not putting up somebody who is squeaky clean. Democrats don't care. Republicans have to have a fighter. And with Trump, they have a fighter. Remember, Trump, when he won the first time, he wasn't elected because he was the most conservative guy or the most preacher-like guy running for office. He was elected because he was a sledgehammer. He was elected because he was going to go to Washington, D.C. and kick the door down and do something. And that's what people want right now. People aren't looking for the most conservative. They're not looking for a Huckabee. They're not looking for a Cruz. That's not what the Republican Party is looking for. I would much rather have Trump's sex scandals, if you will, than Joe Biden, who has only been in Congress, or at least for the majority of his adult life, has only been in Congress and has enriched himself greatly. How has he done that? How has he enriched his family to the point where they are now, while only being a U.S. Senator and only being Vice President? He's screwing around with taxpayer money. Donald Trump, maybe he had sex with a porn star. Guess what? The taxpayer money I care a little bit more about. Your phone calls, your text, and more when we come back.
Call in to the Chad Hasty Show at 1-800-687-0790. The Chad Hasty Show, broadcasting on the Texas Town Square Media Network. Today's markets from the Texas Department of Ag.
Well, howdy, neighbors. Texas feeder cattle auctions reporting prices $6 lower. One barn was $4 higher. Texas Weekly Direct reported prices steady to $4 higher, and cattle futures were up. June live cattle futures up $2, closing at $186.82. August feeder cattle futures up $4.50, closing at $261.97. July cotton futures were down, closed at $70.97. July wheat futures down 9 cents, closed at $6.27 a bushel. July corn down 8 pennies to close at $4.50, and July soybean futures down 9 cents, closed at $11.80 per bushel. July soybean meal futures up a dime, closed at $368.40 per ton. June class 3 milk futures down 3 pennies, closed at $19.86 a hundred. July crude oil futures down 7 cents, closed at $77.55 a barrel, and the Dow Jones down 57 points, closed at 38,589. And that's market roundup from the Texas Department of Agriculture. I'm your commissioner, Sid Miller. And remember, friends, Texas agriculture matters. Sold.
The news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. Don't you forget about Chad at Chad Hasty Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and on your radio. Now back to the Chad Hasty Show.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show as we broadcast from Amarillo. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll be broadcasting, for those of you in Amarillo, from the Knife Guys at 3700 Soncy Road. 1 to 3 p.m. we'll be out there. Not only will they continue their grand opening sales, but they will also have now the William Henry knives in stock. They're also going to have all Zippo lighters 30% off, all regular priced generic spring assist knives at 30% off, and all throwing knives and throwing stars at 30% off as well. And during the event, from 1 to 4 p.m., we'll be out there 1 to 3, but from 1 to 4, they're going to be having hourly drawings for name brand knives. Really great knives that you can pick up over at the Knife Guys. So come on out, say hello. Would love to meet you if you're in the Amarillo area tomorrow and you've got time to stop by from 1 to 3 p.m. Of course, we look forward to seeing you there at the Knife Guys. You can send in your thoughts on the text line at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. The best things that you learned from your dad heading into this Father's Day weekend, you can text in, let us know. This story out of Lubbock, and I want to give some kudos here to City Councilman David Glasheen, brand new City Councilman over at the Lubbock City Council. The headline from everythinglubbock.com: Lubbock City Council approves grant to revamp downtown. One councilman opposes due to property taxes. Lubbock City Council approving a grant that would help downtown businesses resurface their parking lots. Just one of over 100 grants that are part of Market Lubbock's Downtown Grant Program, which works to revitalize downtown by having to fund projects such as renovations to business buildings. Now, again, they're using money, taxpayer money, to repave parking lots. Now, these are grants that are not available to any of you business owners in other parts of the city of Lubbock. They're not available to those in North and East Lubbock if you're not in downtown. They're not available to you on 34th Street or on 82nd Street or anywhere else in Lubbock, only in the downtown area, which, remember, we've been told by the city of Lubbock for many, many years now, if you don't have a strong, vibrant downtown, then the city's just going to shrink up and blow away. Now, you still have businesses that are failing in downtown, whether they have a parking lot or not. You have businesses that are failing in downtown. You just had a wine place that just wrapped up in the downtown area. They're not addressing the real issues. The real problem with downtown, one, it's not a destination. As much as you want to make it a destination, it's still not a destination yet. Number two, you got too many damn bums that are walking around. You don't have any place to park. Parking's at a premium in the downtown area. And let's be honest, most people just don't think about going downtown. My wife and I, we enjoy going to the what is the bar that's there next to the West Table. We enjoy going there. We enjoy going to Italian Garden from time to time. But there's restaurants all over the city, restaurants all over the place, places to go all over the city of Lubbock. And sometimes you just don't think about downtown. Downtown's not an issue because of bad parking lots. Anyway, in a approved 6-1 vote with the attorney and councilman David Glasheen as the one opposed, Everything Lubbock spoke with Glasheen about his opposition on Thursday, which he said stems from the fact that property tax money going to those grants to fund improvements to the private property of for-profit business owners. Quote, just transferring wealth from homeowners to competing businesses to another business just to make improvements to private property, that's not economic development. And it's something that's not appropriate for the city to be involved in. Amen. He's absolutely right. It is not appropriate. And the city continues to get deeper into this. City continues to use taxpayer money to make improvements to private businesses, businesses who have competition in other areas of the city. And they're not offering these grants to other businesses. They're not offering grants to existing businesses over on 82nd Street who may need a little bit of help to refurbish the outside of their building. I'm sure there are a lot of business owners who would love to have some money from the city of Lubbock to refurbish their building. Glasheen made comments at Tuesday's council meeting about his opposition, most of which centered around his want for lower taxes around the city. Quote, I believe in limiting the scope of government, lowering taxes for everybody. When we lower taxes for everybody, it's going to create the best environment for business. The government does not need to pick geographic areas that should receive handouts compared to other areas. He's exactly right. Councilman believes property tax dollars would be better used going to new parks, the city street, or incoming businesses like Leprino Foods, which was announced by the Lubbock Economic Development Alliance a few years ago. A program helps the public good by creating new jobs, new investment in a way that lowers taxes for everybody by creating new growth. The grant approved Tuesday was one of 170 grants presented by Mark in Lubbock that have been approved by the city council so far. According to Jorge Quino, who is the director of downtown and special projects at LEDA, while some of the money for those grants do come from property tax dollars, the larger portion comes from private investment. He believes the investments are all worth it in the end. Well, of course you do. He says it will result in a successful downtown area. How long have we been saying this? It's a small fraction of what private sector is spending. We think that it helps drive the momentum that continues downtown. What momentum? If there's momentum in downtown, it's not because of the city. It's because of private industry that's going in. It's because of the private hotels that are being built. The city needs to get the hell out of the way. And if a business owner doesn't want to spend money to upgrade their business, then move. Go somewhere else. We want anyone visiting us or anyone that lives here to be proud of their downtown. Really? I mean, that's why not be proud of the entire city as a whole? Why not go through it? If you're going to offer grants for just one part of the city, how is that fair to other parts of the city? Glasheen still hopes to see lower tax dollars around the city. What I believe the best way for us to lower taxes for citizens is to lower taxes on everybody and eliminate discretionary spending programs like this. Glasheen, you're right. Keep up the good fight. Obviously, you're outgunned on this. You're outnumbered on it. But I think you're exactly right that you could save a lot of money. Let's just say that you have only a quote-unquote small fraction of this money comes from taxpayer money. Okay, if that's true, then get rid of the taxpayer part. Get rid of it. Let it be the private investment that you hand out dollars from and not taxpayer money. Why don't you do that? 806-680-2790. Texter, I heard you were in Amarillo today. I just turned on the radio and you're talking about parking lots in Lubbock. What's up with that? We're all over the place, okay? I had to give a shout out. I had to get to a little bit of a good for a Lubbock City councilman for standing up and saying no. Texter weighing in. Trump is the boss man. He knows how to make money, not just print it. My dad taught me that if I worked hard enough, hauled enough hay, I was paid with money. Beer points teach value, to teach value. And from Paul the plumber. Thank you, Paul, for weighing in. Mark in California. Lubbock has got to have the most eateries per capita than any Texas city I've been to. I think you might be right on that. We do have a lot of food eater. We do have a lot of restaurants. A lot of places to grab a bite to eat in the Lubbock area. We're broadcasting from the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites, having a great time out here in Amarillo today. We'll be broadcasting from the Knife Guys tomorrow from 1 to 3 p.m. When we come back today, we'll begin to wrap things up here at the Cactus Cove inside the game room. Hey, next time you're traveling to Amarillo, stop on by. I think you'll enjoy the hotel here, the restaurant, all the amenities that they have. We'll be right back.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio, Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at KFYO.com. The Chad Hasty Show, all across Texas during your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton.
Coming up on the Monday edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, a huge show for your listening enjoyment. First of all the news from over the weekend, especially focused on the 2024 election, the upcoming debate, plus our guest lineup, phenomenal. Dr. Ben Carson, possible VP for Trump, and Senator Rand Paul. That's right, my friends, Clay and Buck, bringing it to you on Monday. Make sure you join, listen in.
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Monday morning at 11.
And just like that, final segment of today's program, final segment of the week here on the Chad Hasty Show. Well, I guess tomorrow, for those of you in Amarillo, we'll be hanging out from 1 to 3 p.m. Looking forward to that. We'll be out the Knife Guys at 3700 Soncy Road. Come out and join us. We're going to have great deals on so many items. Of course, the grand opening sales continuing as well. You can get Father's Day gifts. You can get gift cards as well. And we'll have some Chad Hasty Show stickers to give away. And we're just going to have a lot of fun as we broadcast from the Knife Guys. Looking forward to that from 1 to 3 p.m., 3700 Soncy Road here in Amarillo. And, of course, we want to meet as many of you as possible. So stop on by, say hello. If you're going to be traveling to Amarillo anytime soon, we do highly recommend our friends here at the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites. Great people. They're going through some renovations right now and really sprucing up the place and making it look nice. And it's a great place. If you got kids, it's a great place to bring your kids because they've got a lot of games out there. Obviously, they've got some pickleball, but they've got an indoor pool. They've got a little punting green. They've got just all kinds of just fun stuff in the hotel for people to do. Plus, you got the game room here. I've got darts to the left of me. I've got PlayStation over here in front of me. Got a nice big pool table over here that you can play. I mean, it's just a great place to relax. And of course, they've got a great restaurant as well. And you heard Representative Smithee earlier say, yeah, it's pretty good. First time there, and he really enjoyed it. So just a great place, great people. We do appreciate them hosting us today here at the Cactus Cove Game Room. Listen, this Supreme Court decision, and we'll get more into this tomorrow over at the Knife Guys. Just didn't have a lot of time to talk about it today. Obviously, as I brought up earlier, I applaud the decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. There was a piece out earlier that, again, I'm not going to have really any time to get to. But the headline, it was from one of the editorials, one of the writers over at the Washington Post, who said that the Supreme Court cares more about the dictionary than they do human lives. In other words, their big beef here with the U.S. Supreme Court is that the Supreme Court went with the law and with the actual definition of what a machine gun is, which is the job of the U.S. Supreme Court, to go with the actual definition, not the, well, we feel like it should be this, we feel like it should be that. The U.S. Supreme Court made the right decision, and gun owners should be very happy, even if you've never had a bump stock. I've never had a bump stock. I've never owned a bump stock. I've never thought about owning a bump stock. The only reason it was banned is because Trump was pressured after that Las Vegas shooting, which I still don't believe we have all the answers to. When it comes to that shooting in Las Vegas, it was, I think, very odd how we learned really nothing about the guy. There was he had no web presence. There was nothing about this guy whatsoever that shot up that country concert. But we had to blame something, so we blamed the bump stock. And again, I've never owned one. I haven't cared about owning a bump stock. I will not rush out now and buy a bump stock. But you can't give in on this stuff because the left are never satisfied with just banning the bump stock. Now they want to go after triggers. They want to go after anything. They want to go after guns. What they want to do is get rid of the gun. We know that. They want to get rid of large capacity magazines. They want to get rid of everything when it comes. They want to get rid of the Second Amendment. And anything that tears away just a little bit, even if it tears away just a little bit, I'm going to stand up and say no to. All right. Thanks again to the folks here at the Cactus Cove Inn and Suites. Thanks again to Matt Mars, Chase S. for joining us here at the Cactus Cove. Thanks also to State Representative John Smithee of HD 86. Also Caroline Fairly, who will be representing HD 87. Thanks to them for joining us today. Don't forget to join us at the Knife Guys tomorrow in Amarillo, 3700 Soncy Road from 1 to 3 p.m. Have a great weekend. We'll be back broadcasting from Lubbock on Monday. We'll see you then.
Expect to see me now anytime. When you're in my arms, I'll be fine.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.